Experience the future of packaging and processing up close and in action. Explore groundbreaking innovations, engage with hands-on solutions, and connect with the experts transforming the industry. See how these advancements can revolutionize your products, production lines, and business. It all starts here. Don't miss out. Register today at packexpolasvegas.com/unpackedpod. You're listening to Unpacked with PMMI, where we share the latest packaging and processing industry insights, research, and innovations to help you advance your business. Hi, and welcome to Unpacked with PMMI. I'm your host, Sean Riley. In today's episode, we chat with Lindsay Bridenbaker, Senior Director of Packaging R&D at PepsiCo, about the future of the packaging workforce and STEM education. PepsiCo was the title sponsor and one of the judges of the PACK Challenge competition for high school students at PACK EXPO International. Bridenbaker shares how PepsiCo fosters the next generation of engineers through initiatives like the PACK Challenge, university partnerships, and mentorship programs. We also explore how innovation and technology are shaping sustainable packaging and expanding STEM career opportunities. Let's have a listen.
So with all the fancy introductions out of the way, welcome to the podcast, Lindsay.
Thank you.
The pleasure is all ours. Before we dive into all the initiatives that PepsiCo is involved with and how amazingly supportive you guys were of the PACK Challenge at PACK EXPO International, it probably makes a little bit of sense to let everybody know who you are and a little bit about your background, because this world of packaging, a lot of us didn't grow up saying, I want to be in packaging. It's something that we ended up in or took detours along the way. I've been covering packaging for a couple decades, so I'm curious how you ended up in this world.
So I am also one of those people that didn't know that I was going to be a packaging person. But as a young person, my passion was definitely science and math, and I really enjoyed solving puzzles and math riddles and things of that type. I spent more hours than I can count playing Tetris in my parents' basement.
As did I.
I went on to major in chemical engineering in college. And in my college essay, I wrote that I hoped that one day I would save the world by designing new plants and new processes that would minimize pollution. So I didn't take that job exactly, but coming out of college, I joined the food industry and had various roles in manufacturing plants to start. And it was there that I was first exposed to packaging equipment and packaging as an industry. In fact, the first time I met somebody who had actually majored in packaging science. And it was then that I attended my first PACK Expo. And later, I made my way into packaging R&D and focusing more on the upfront packaging design aspect. And that's where I am today with PepsiCo. And at PepsiCo, one of our ambitions is to build a world where packaging never become waste. So in a way, that's not too far off from my teenage dream. Yeah.
When you said that, it kind of perked my ears up. I was like, okay, well, you're in that realm. Let's dive into PepsiCo and its sponsorship of the PACK Challenge that PMMI had at PACK EXPO International. And a little bit of background for people who don't know, it's this amazing program that basically takes teams of high school students and they design and build an actual machine that then mocks up and packages a product, which to me is just crazy because that was not something I was doing in high school. It was not something I was even thinking of doing in high school. It's really impressive when the kids do this. So I guess from PepsiCo's point of view, why was it so important for a company like PepsiCo to develop these kind of initiatives and these types of programs and to be involved with looking towards and finding the future of the workforce?
Yeah, so at PepsiCo, we are solving big problems and are trying to solve big problems. Our driving North Star is what we call PepsiCo Positive. And it's not just a business strategy for us. It's our transformative journey across operations, from production to marketing to distribution, full end to end. It's our vision to deliver a more sustainable, people-centered future, driving growth and value for everyone. And you can't do that. You can't solve big, bold problems without creative solutions. And so we need the best STEM talent to help us solve those challenges. Many of these problems we're trying to solve don't have solutions today. And so we might need to invent new solutions. And that's where the talent pool comes in. And it's important for us then to engage with that next generation of talent, helping to inspire the young people of the world to help us solve these problems and to realize that their minds can really help have an impact on the world. And in addition to the PACK Challenge that you mentioned, we also partner with IOPP, the Institute of Packaging Professionals, to sponsor a university student scholarship, again, to help people come into the industry. And also this year, we're one of the sponsors of IOPP's student conference that's called PACK Jam. So we have a number of ways we have outreach to really inspire people to come into this industry and again, help us solve these big problems.
Very cool. You mentioned IOPPs. Are there other initiatives that are similar to that or similar to PACK Challenge that PepsiCo is working on to push STEM out there as a career?
Yeah, we definitely see that there's this huge opportunity for people coming out of high school that don't necessarily know what a career in packaging is, or even what a STEM career in the consumer goods industry might be. Maybe they've heard of STEM, but they think of it in terms of automotive or aerospace or pharma, and they don't necessarily think that the various consumer goods that are in their home have a lot of engineering and science behind it. And so we look at different ways that we can engage and bring visibility to STEM. And some examples are we have partnerships with our local high schools where we bring them into our headquarters and our R&D labs, and we show them this is what a scientist or engineer at PepsiCo can look like. We also partner with Million Women Mentors, for example. But the primary vehicle where we introduce students to our R&D teams is through our co-op program. And so we partner with a number of universities. Primarily, we partner with universities that have a packaging science program, but we also have expanded to more broad engineering disciplines as well. It's a really great way for a university student to come into the workplace, typically for a 6-month co-op program. Sometimes it could be a 3-month summer internship, but it really shows people this is what it's like to be an engineer or a scientist in the industry and helping PepsiCo, again, to solve these problems. Although we do a lot of packaging, only about 20% of our employees in PepsiCo packaging team come from a formal packaging engineering program because there's only a handful of them. And the rest of us are mechanical engineers, chemical engineers, material scientists, industrial designers, et cetera. And we're starting to realize that we need to look at the broad engineering mindset as the baseline. Say, anybody who's going through an engineering program or a core science program has those fundamentals. They have that right mindset to help solve problems. And so how can we teach them then about packaging and complement their engineering foundation and bring in the packaging background? And that's how we can then make the engineering field as a whole a broader source of recruiting and bringing in that next generation of talent.
Very interesting. And I feel like a broken record on here because I bring it up all the time about the workforce and what an issue it is, especially in manufacturing, packaging, processing, things like that, finding workers to do these really good paying, interesting career oriented jobs. So how else is PepsiCo expanding recruiting efforts, things like that, to fill that workforce of the future?
The world is changing. The way we see it, the workforce of the future absolutely needs to have these solid engineering fundamentals, but that's just the start. The future workforce needs to have more than just engineering to be successful. For an example, in our world, in the consumer goods industry, you need to kind of understand the consumer that you're designing for. So that takes a slightly different mindset to really be thinking more about human behavior and what drives humans to choose the products that they bring into their home. You also need to be a good communicator and a good business partner. Even as really talented engineers and scientists, we cannot do anything alone. We have to work with other functions to bring things to life.
Yep.
And increasingly also, we are needing to be more digitally savvy. More and more of our design work is going digital. Probably a generation or two ago, you would literally draw things on paper. Then we evolved to CAD. Now we're using 3D files to do finite element analysis to predict how strong a bottle will be. This is all the digital evolution that's coming to the industry. Down the road, we expect you'll be able to simulate in advance. How well will your package run on a manufacturing line, and using digital twins and various digital tools to predict that. And so with that in mind, we're also recruiting for students that have some of those experiences, whether that's experience working with cross-functional partners and project teams, experience thinking about human behavior, or recruiting directly for digital disciplines, recruiting directly for engineers that have experience in modeling and simulation, machine learning, or data analytics, because this is also part of our future workforce. We also participate on many university advisory boards to help inform that curriculum of the future, so that even at the university level, they're starting to see that these are the types of skills that the industry is going to be needing from the students that graduate from those programs.
That's a lot. I feel like we've covered a lot. Are there any things that we might have missed that we didn't touch on that PepsiCo is working on from an inclusion aspect?
PepsiCo has over 300,000 employees across the globe. Yeah. Collaboration is what fuels our innovation and growth. And we prioritize then leveraging different perspectives to build those stronger connections with our consumers. And so we are active participants in other industry organizations such as SWE, which is Society of Women Engineers, NSBE, the National Society of Black Engineers, and SHIFT, the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. And so you'll often find us as well at those regional and national conferences, engaging with other people in the industry, recruiting for new talent, giving talks. In fact, I myself, I was just at a SWE conference last week giving a talk. We definitely value inclusion as part of our company culture.
That's awesome. I'm very happy to hear that. That's great. This has been great. I can't thank you enough, Lindsay, from taking time out of what I know is a busy schedule to crowbar this podcast in for us so that we could get on here and talk about all the wonderful things that PepsiCo is doing. So thanks again.
It was my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Please rate, review, and subscribe. To do that, go to the iTunes podcast or Spotify app on your phone and search for Unpacked with PMMI.